You're listening to the One Step Deeper podcast with your host, Jimmy Moore and Brittany Davis. OneStepDeeperPodcast.com.
Hey guys, welcome in to the One Step Deeper podcast. As you can see, Jimmy's not here this week. This is definitely not Jimmy. And we got a whole new setup this week. So Jimmy is on vacation for the next 2 weeks. Me and my friend Brittany here, yes, spelled the same, yes. Everything. We will be chatting about gentle parenting this week. And next week, I will have the one and only Wild Man on with me. And we're going to be talking about our relationship and how we got to where we are and just like the battles that we faced. But before we get into all things gentle parenting today and how Brittany and I met, I wanted to say thank you for watching or listening to the podcast. You're listening to One Step Deeper podcast, episode 28 about gentle parenting. And you can find all the episodes on OneStepDeeperPodcast.com and on Instagram at One Step Deeper Podcast there as well. And then over on Facebook, One Step Deeper Podcast Facebook community. After a while, saying it enough times, it gets a little tongue twistery. All the episodes air on YouTube Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the first place you can catch the podcast. After that, on Mondays, the audio version airs on Apple and Stitcher and Spotify and all the places that you listen to podcast. So let's get into episode 28, One Step Deeper podcast with my friend Brittany Boehnke.
It's Brittany, bitch.
Boehnke, yes, like the pacifier. Yes.
But it is not spelled that way.
Yeah, not spelled that way. Would you like to cover how we met each other, or you want me to do that?
Oh, I could do it. So Brittany came to Sunoco High School halfway through the 11th grade, but we didn't really meet then. We didn't meet until 12th grade, Miss Bratcher's art class. Yes. We had our little group, and we would do story times every day. Yes. Brittany would come in raving about her wild man, but he wasn't wild man back then. He was Chris Davis.
Yes, every morning. Oh my God, guys, I gotta tell you about Chris Davis. I gotta tell you what happened last night. I gotta tell you. Yes, there was so much story time going on.
Yes, so we've known each other for 11 years, been friends for 10. So.
Yeah, been pretty good friends. And like, we're the type of friends that we didn't talk for several years, but not because we were fighting or anything was wrong. Like, life just happened. And then one day, just poof, we started talking again. And it was pretty much when we were pregnant at the same time. Yeah. Because like right after high school, you went off to college, I got married and all of those things. And you got pregnant, and then I was pregnant at the same time.
Yes.
6 months, six-ish.
July, Gabe was in July and Kim was in October.
So whatever that math is. We're not in school anymore, so we don't need to know. Ooh, bye-bye high school. Yeah, can you believe it's been 10 years since we graduated?
It's so weird.
What?
It's so weird.
We started talking then, the kids got together and they hung out a little while, and then we just kind of stopped talking.
It changed, a lot of things changed in my life.
Yeah.
And I moved away, like away,
that's what it
away.
Was. Yeah.
Way away.
Yeah.
After my son's biological father and I split, I moved to Myrtle Beach and, kind of just not intentionally cut people off from here, but just kind of distance myself from everything from here for a while. And then I came back.
Yeah.
And now we live practically next door to each other.
It was crazy. I posted a picture of our new house when we moved, and Brittany's like, "Where's that at?" And I was like, it's in this place. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, first of all, we live there, but we're building a house there." She's like, "What street is it?" And ends up, we literally live 2 streets away from each other. And so life happens. It was completely not on purpose. And here we are 10 years later, back friends. Our husbands are friends. It's funny.
Yeah.
Brittany, our husband's name are Chris. Yeah.
Yep.
Brittany and Chris. So,
yes.
The
OG and the 2.0.
The 2.0. Yes, exactly. What is it? What is it that my husband... Is that what my husband calls y'all? 2.0? That was the...
He's the OG. Y'all are the original.
Okay. But it's funny because, like, talking about our past, like, when it comes to gentle parenting, we pretty much have the exact same story of how we got into gentle parenting, why we parent this way now, what led us to, like, almost to the T, our story is the same.
It's weird.
Yes.
It's weird how similar it is.
Yeah. So I wanted to cover first, for all the people that don't know what gentle parenting is, we're not going to textbook define it for you. There are so many resources out there that you can find to find more information. Brittany and I are just going to kind of define what gentle parenting looks for us. I'll let you go first.
Yes. So for me, it's more of like I don't react to my son, I respond to my son. I don't just initially just react to his behavior or his feelings or, like, you know, situations that happen. I take a minute. I take a minute to go back and take a breath, respond. Sometimes it's more than a minute. Sometimes it's a few minutes. I need to walk away and, you know, take a breath so I don't just react to his behavior. So it's, instead of yelling and spanking and punishments immediately and shaming and invalidating his emotions, it's the exact opposite of all those things. We're validating emotions and we're having conversations instead of yelling, and we're not shaming him for feeling a certain way or doing certain things. It's like, okay, buddy, let's talk about this instead.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, absolutely. I agree with all of that. That's pretty much how we view gentle parenting for us. There's other words for gentle parenting: peaceful parenting, respectful parenting, authoritative instead of authoritarian.
We're not in high school anymore. We're not.
Exactly. So authoritarian is more, I am the parent, I am boss, you listen to me because I am bigger than you. Whereas authoritative parenting is, hey buddy, let's work together, or hey honey, let's work together, let's talk about this. What are you feeling? How did this situation make you feel? And it's not just some memsy-pemsy, like, passive parenting.
No.
Like, it's really freaking hard to be a gentle parent, because it requires that you're not just parenting your child, you're reparenting yourself, right?
Lord, and that journey of reparenting yourself. I definitely watched that episode of the One Step Deeper podcast. I think it was one of the first ones that I watched. And, buddy, did it resonate?
Yes. Yeah, because you have to, because when you take on gentle parenting, at least in the experience of everybody that I've talked to within this, it's brand new. They were not parented this way. I know Brittany and I were definitely not parented gently at all. We live in the deep South, okay, and like everything is
the Bible Belt, the spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yes. We lived that life.
That's not what that means, though, by the way, guys.
But we turned out all right?
We did not at all turn out all right.
That was a fib. Yeah, we always love when people are like, oh, well, you know, I got spanked and I turned out all right. And I'm just like, did you really? How's that anxiety?
Yeah, how's the depression? How's the therapy appointment you need to make, but you keep avoiding?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going in a little hard. That's a little harsh. I get it. But you know what? No. It's cool. If they can listen to this after last week's episode, we're good. Like, this is, we're very good. Gentle parenting for us means pretty much the same thing, and we're on that same kind of path. So, like, what led you to gentle parenting? I know we have had this conversation a lot, but for everybody else.
Yes. So, for me personally, as Brittany stated, I haven't always been a gentle parent. And there was one day, Gabe was pretty small, probably 3.
Yeah.
God, it makes me cringe when I think about...
We're not there anymore.
But he hit someone. He hit one of the little kids, and I snatched him up, and I spanked him. And as I spanked him, I said, we don't hit. I hit my child. Yeah. And said, we don't hit. I know a lot of people like to differentiate spanking from hitting, but it's not different. It's the same. You're still hitting your child. And how am I going to sit there and hit my child and say, we don't hit?
Yeah. Yeah, like that was literally to a T our story with and our switch. My husband and I switched. So I was at a chiropractor appointment with another family member, and that family member had permission to spank my child. And it was Cammie and Darcy, and I was like big pregnant with Alma Grace. So it had been like 4 years ago now. And one hit the other. I don't remember who it was. All I remember was the family member grabbed them, looked them in the face, and said, "We don't hit," and then spanked them. And it was literally in that moment that I was like, hold up. Logic. What? Hold on. Not making sense. And yes, like you said, people love to differentiate. There's a difference in hitting and spanking. It's still striking a child. And when I made the connection in my head that that's what spanking was, it was still hitting. I was like, oh my gosh. And so it wasn't a slow process for us. I went home and called my husband immediately. I was like, we're not spanking anymore. And he's like, we're going to raise brats. And I'm like, yep, that's what everybody tells me. But we about to see.
Oh, man.
Did you get that too?
Oh, my God. It wasn't.
Probably still.
Yes. It was not as immediate for me. I didn't go home that day and immediately make the switch. I wish I had, looking back on it. But it still took me a couple of years after that. My son's biological father and I finally split. And we moved away. And the spanking and the yelling, and it wasn't getting me anywhere. And I was like, wait a minute, we're gonna do this differently. So we did. And so about 3 years now it's been strictly gentle parenting, and we ain't looking back. But people still do. They're like, oh, you're gonna raise a hellion, he's not gonna listen to you, he's gonna be one of those kids that grows up and he's gonna end up in jail because he's not being parented. And I'm like, wait, he is being parented, it just doesn't look the same.
Don't look the same. Yeah, I struggle with that when people are like, oh, they're not being parented. I'm like, you have no idea how hard it is to gentle parent. Like, just circling back to reparenting yourself, we're double parenting here. Mm-hmm. We're not just parenting our kids, we're parenting ourselves, because we're having to learn to be gentle with ourselves and not be harsh with ourselves. And we have to model that in front of our kids. I think, that's what we missed with talking about the definition of gentle parenting. It's modeling how our children should behave, not just telling them.
That's right.
We don't go to them and say, you have to brush your teeth and eat all your vegetables and do all this. And we don't have to do it. I know that was a stab at you.
I don't eat vegetables.
Oh, that's okay. But Gabriel does. Like,
oh my God, yes.
Sometime we had a little garden out there, and he was just out there eating it fresh off the garden. Like, you go, boy. He eats his vegetables. Yeah. He's good.
He does better than me, so it's okay.
Have you guys tried the Paleo Valley beef sticks? These beef sticks are 100% grass-fed and grass-finished. And many of the grass-fed beef sticks on the market today are actually finished with grains. They use beef sourced from small domestic farms in the United States. They only use real organic spices to flavor the beef sticks versus all the conventional spices sprayed with pesticides and other natural flavors from GMO. They also ferment the sticks, which creates naturally occurring probiotics, all great for your gut health. And best of all, they taste amazing. Again, they're Paleo Valley, my favorite beef stick on the market today. Go check them out, you guys. PaleoValley.com. Use the coupon code Jimmy at checkout for 15% off your first order. Paleo Valley beef sticks.
But we model how we want our children to act. And a lot of times we have to remind them. I don't know about you, but sometimes when we're in the grocery store and they're kind of getting antsy and stuff, and also I'm understanding. We've been to 3 stores. I don't want to be here either.
Oh, yeah.
I'm understanding when my kid starts throwing a fit after 3 stores. It makes sense if you pause for a second and put yourself in your child's shoes. That goes into that reparenting of really thinking about, okay, would I want to go through this? Would I want to be there? And we're adults. Like, we should be able to adjust. We should be able to adjust better to these situations than our children. And our children are still learning. And so back to that definition, it's really about modeling to our children how to act in situations. And so I know me as an adult, one of the things I've struggled with within relationships with other people is I've learned to respond in all of my relationships rather than react. It has helped me a lot. We'll cover that next week with me and Wildman. But has it helped you in your marriage to be a gentle parent?
Yes. So I definitely, like, I had already started the gentle parenting journey, like, as Chris and I began our relationship together. But that being said, I had just started it. So the way that I respond even to, like, my husband now versus where we were when we first started dating, you know, past the whole like initial butterfly stuff, but it's changed. Instead of like automatically just being upset with him if he says a certain thing or acts a certain way, I have to like sit back and be like, okay, why is he doing this, or why is he saying this, or, you know, where's it coming from? Not just a you know,
right? Because then you're and he's and everybody's
everybody's and it doesn't get you. It doesn't get you anywhere.
It doesn't get you anywhere. Yes, and so I will say that moving to gentle parenting, I switched overnight, but it was a very slow journey. Very slow. When I say I switched overnight, I meant I stopped spanking, and that was it. That was the start of my journey. I was like, okay, I'm done spanking, but there was a lot of yelling still going on, and there was still a lot of like, oh God. It's cringy to talk about our past parenting.
It's okay. We're better now.
I was very harsh on my oldest child, and I still find myself harsh on her. I mean, my parents were so harsh on me. It comes out. You know, it's just reparenting myself and showing up for my kid. You said something about your husband when you guys first met. Like, how does he feel about gentle parenting?
And so it's been back and forth. He was definitely parented in the traditional, you spank, I'm the parent, so therefore you shall listen to me, what I say, don't explain things to your children, you're just supposed to listen to you. And it's been a journey. And we're still on that journey. I'm not a perfect gentle parent. I don't spank, I don't yell, and Chris doesn't spank, Chris doesn't yell, but like there's still things that we're working on. But we had a conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday was my birthday. When you're seeing this, it won't be yesterday. But yesterday was my birthday, and I was getting ready to leave the house to go to brunch. Chris was taking us out for brunch, and he goes downstairs and he says, hey, Gabe, I need you to go upstairs and get dressed. And Gabe is like, well, where are we going? And Chris, you know, he's like, don't worry about it. Just go get dressed. And Gabe, my son's been going through a lot lately. So his anxiety's kind of way up here. And so he's like, no, but where are we going? And Chris was like, don't worry about it. Just go upstairs and get dressed. And not yelling at him, but just not explaining. Okay. And so he stomps up the stairs and he slams the door. And Chris goes after him and is like, listen, we don't slam doors in this house. It's okay that you're upset, but I just need you to get dressed and not slam the doors. And then he comes and tells me about this interaction. And I'm like, well, you're not wrong. You know, we don't slam doors. But if we would have explained to him where we were going, it wouldn't have come to that in the first place. And, you know, it just goes back to him being like, well, I'm the parent, and why do I have to explain? And we're still working on it. We're still working on it.
Oh,
so it's,
I mean, even I'm still working on it. Like, oh my grace, I was telling her this story before we got started. My husband's still working with it too. And like, as far as where he is, I remember the first day I called him and I was like, hey, we're not spanking anymore. And Wildman goes along with me, and he always has, and he's always like, yeah, babe, whatever you want to do, I'll support you. And this was the first time I ever got any kind of feedback where he was like, hey, whoa, I don't know about that. You know, I ain't trying to have some bratty kids. I don't know how. Okay, we'll see. So that was really the first time he ever like pushed back towards me. And I was appreciative of that because it made me have to dig so deep to be comfortable with my choice that now I'm having to explain it to somebody else. It's one thing to believe something for yourself. This is a podcast topic that we've always talked about here. It's one thing to believe something, but it's another thing to believe it so deeply that you can teach another person about it.
There you go.
And so I was just in tune, like YouTube, TikTok. And yes, you can learn all this stuff online. Don't let anybody tell you you cannot teach yourself anything, not just gentle parenting, absolutely anything on the internet, free resources. There are books out there, but
I learned a lot of it from like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and more recently TikTok. I know people love to pick on TikTok, but like
it's informative.
It's really informative.
Yes.
It's not all TikTok dances and random posts. It's like some of it is 60 seconds to 3 minutes of really good information. So,
and a lot of times you watch that 60 seconds and you're like, that really hurt.
Man,
I don't like it. It feels uncomfortable.
There's one in particular that I watched probably close to a year ago now that really resonated with me, and it ties into the whole parenting and reparenting thing. This girl got on her TikTok, and I cannot remember her handle. She was explaining why she detested cleaning her house so much.
Yes, I know this one. Yes.
And she was like, I never understood it, and it drives my husband crazy. I can't seem to make myself do it. But then one day, my therapist was just talking to me about it, and my mother had used it as a punishment. If I did this behavior, I was forced to do all the dishes or sweep the whole house or dust everything or not, and as a child. And I sat back and I said, holy crap.
Yes.
The same thing happened to me, and this is why every time I clean my house, I feel like I'm punishing myself. Oh my God.
Yes. I don't know if you sent me that or I just saw it on my own, but I remember that being a huge slap in the face because, like, not only was I punished by chores, like, I would get home from school and have 1 hour to complete. I'm talking like Cinderella list of front and back of chore lists that I had to get done before my parents get home. And if I didn't have that done and my homework done, I was punished. And then my punishment was more cleaning. And then I get older. And so I love to clean. I love having a clean space. But I clean for fear that someone's going to beat me or yell at me or scream at me if it's not perfect. Wow. So when a friend comes over, I intentionally left dishes in my sink. Like, Did you see that? Like,
I didn't look.
That is growth. That is growth for me.
Good.
Because even though I know he would never come over and be like, oh my God, Brittany, look at your sink. What are you kidding me?
Go in my house right now.
I know she would never do that to me. I wasn't parented gently, and so I have this internal thing that somebody's going to walk in and be like, oh my God, Brittany, you're in trouble. You didn't do your dishes. And so very similar. I loved that lady on TikTok.
Man.
But yeah, this is just a whole nother level of gentle parenting and why we do what we do. Because we don't want our kids to hate cleaning.
No, I don't want my son to grow up and, get married one day and then him and his spouse be having to have arguments over why he can't get off the couch to just do some dishes or do some laundry or sweep. Like, why is that so hard for you? Like, it's arguments that my husband and I have had until I really realized what was going on. And my kid is responsible for his room. And when I say that, I don't mean spotless. Yeah. My child also has ADHD, and for him, a clean room just means that, like, you can walk on the floor and not step on Legos.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, that's another thing to talk about within gentle parenting is this idea that parents need to lower their expectations. Not in a way that kids get away with everything, but to understand there is a delicate balance between too harsh and not, harsh isn't the right word, not instructive enough. And so me and Cammie have had this fight. I've actually talked about it on the podcast before. Cammie, my oldest child, is very much like Gabe. They get along so well because they're the same person, just different genders. I won't speak for Gabe. I only speak for Cammie. Cammie's room is a place of contention for me. And I just spoke to you guys about how my dishes not being done is something that I struggle with. And so Cammie's room not being clean, that's my struggle, not Cammie's. Cammie doesn't care. And so I've had to lower, it doesn't have to be Brittany clean, it needs to be Cammie clean. And so we got together one day after constant contention. Me and her were like losing our closeness over her room. constant contention. I finally sat on her bed. I said, okay, let's make a compromise between what your version of clean is and what Mama's version of clean is. I said, you tell me what you think is clean. And she said, no stuff on the floor. I said, okay, cool. Let Mom take it one more and let's see how you feel about that. I said, how about no dishes left in your room? She said, cool, I can be on board with that. I said, how about your clothes in the dirty clothes hamper? She's like, cool, I can be cool with that. And I said, okay, I can be cool with the rest of it. And so we worked together gently, respectfully, and she gave me her definition, I gave her my definition, and we just met in the middle. I don't need her in there with toothbrush and like cleaning like I do, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, but just getting to that place together. And I want to go back because I skipped over it because we were talking about how our marriages have been affected in a positive way, and then we'll touch on like how our kids are different now with the change. But you were talking about Chris and how when you guys have arguments, like you're more in tune with how he's feeling in those. And I'm the same way. Like when it comes to my husband, just the other night, I had said something and he reacted. And I was like, hey, whoa, hold up. I respect that. I see you're feeling upset. Let me validate that. I hear you're upset. What can I do? Let's bring this back down. Can we have a conversation? And when you meet somebody who's yelling and screaming and yelling and all the things with, hey, buddy, what's going on? They're not going to, they're going to like, oh, maybe I should meet you where you are. And kids will do that, and spouses will do that, and all the rest of your relationships will do that as well. Well, maybe not all of them. Not the toxic ones.
Yeah,
but.
not all of them, but like the healthy ones, the good ones, they'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I've loved about gentle parenting, that we're talking about gentle parenting, but what really we're talking about is gentle relationships.
Yes.
And so how do you feel like Gabe has acted since the shift?
Wow.
Was it immediate or?
Almost.
Okay.
It was like, not like overnight immediate, but it was a pretty quick change. Like once we really made the switch about 3 years ago to I'm not spanking anymore. And then very shortly after that, it's like, I'm not yelling anymore. I'm not a yeller in general. If I'm yelling, you have crossed like 16 boundaries, and just if I am yelling, just run away because like you've just pushed it way too far. But Gabe's a child; he can't push me to that point. I'm not allowing myself to get to that point with my child. But it's been night and day. Like he was so closed off from me before. He wasn't comfortable talking to me about things. He would lie to me. He would hide things from me. He was getting in trouble at school. Just all the things. And it was just when we made the switch to gentle parenting, like he stopped getting into trouble at school. We talk about big stuff almost daily. He's coming to me, Mom, can I please talk to you? Lately even more so because he's got a lot of things going on, but it's, Mom, can I please talk to you about these things? Because he knows I'm a safe person to come talk to. I'm not going to yell at him. I'm not going to judge him. I'm not going to invalidate the way he's feeling or try to just make it be like, oh well, that's not really a big deal, honey. Don't. My parents did that a lot to me.
Mine too.
And it was always, you're just a kid. That's not that big of a deal. That's not that important. And to them, it's huge. Whether it seems huge to us or it's huge. It's huge to them. So don't invalidate their feelings. He's become such an amazing child. Not that he wasn't a good kid before, but we had a lot more behavioral issues and emotional issues before, and now, I have signed him up for therapy for some things, but it's just like we're so close now.
Hey guys, I'm all about healthy nutrition, and I have a brand new product I want to tell you about called Athletic Greens. This is not just a multivitamin, It has 75 essential elements that you want to have in your diet, from probiotics to greens to digestive enzymes to prebiotics. There's so many things that they pack into the Athletic Greens. The main reason why I love them is it puts it all in one place. Like, literally, you'd have to a la carte buy all of these different supplements, and they do it all in one package. So if you go to athleticgreens.com/Jimmy, and you can get a special discount if you go there, and the discount is you get a free 1-year supply of their vitamin D as well as some of their travel packs. Go check it out, you guys. athleticgreens.com/Jimmy.
But with therapy, like signing him up for that, I mean, I think that's awesome. And because you have set such a groundwork of him being able to talk to you so openly, he will have a much easier time in therapy opening up. Maybe not at the beginning.
He's a little nervous.
Yeah, and that's understanding. I mean, it really is. But that's what I love about gentle parenting is I have a relationship with my kid. Yes. It's not mom, boss, kid, your child. You
just be a child and do what you're told.
Right. So the other day, I'll tell you an example of how if I would have done this, and the people listening, if this would have been done to you, it wouldn't have been pretty. But I had a different reaction. So the other day, we were at the pool, and it was still pretty cold where we are to getting in the pool. And I was not going to get into the pool. But my older two were in there, and we told Darcy, get out the pool. And she said, no. And I said, Darcy, I need you to get out of the pool for your safety. And she replied, no. At that point, I can be understanding that is her answer. I allow my kids to tell me no, right? And I know that's not normal, but I allow my kids to tell me no. They have complete autonomy of themselves, but it was for her safety. I needed her to get out of the pool. There was not an adult in there. She was getting a little closer to the deep end, and so we had her come out of the pool. And so she was really upset. Rightfully so, understandably so, she was upset. And she was sitting on the deck, and she looks at me, and she's like, Mom, can I tell you something? Absolutely, girl, what you got? And she's like, I'm really mad at you and Daddy. And I was like, you're allowed to be. I understand. Like, I would want to be in the pool too. Like, I get it. But for your safety, you don't have floaties on. You don't have a life jacket on. There's not an adult in the pool with you. You know, at first it started with just your feet in. Yeah. And you kept pushing that bounce. And for your safety, I need you to be out of the pool. If that had happened to me as a child and I had told my parents no.
Oh my God.
What did you say earlier?
Yeah. I would have been snatched up out of that pool so fast.
I would have been beaten in the corner and grounded and all the things.
Yes,
all the things. And it didn't have to be that way. What actually happened was later on in the day when her emotions had calmed and I validated how she felt. I was like, hey man, I understand. I get how you're feeling right now and you're allowed to be angry at me. I said, when you're ready, we can talk about it. And later on we did. We talked about it. She's like, I understand, Mom, that it was for my safety that I needed to get out. When can we go to the pool again? And I was like, next time we go to the pool, I'll be prepared as the parent. I'll bring floaties. And that's just an example of how we go about these things. Our kids are allowed to be upset with us. Yes. They're allowed to have feelings. Kids are not lesser humans. They are just as human as we are. They're just smaller.
Yeah.
But they're tiny humans, and tiny humans deserve respect just like any other adult.
Absolutely. And we're teaching them how to regulate their emotions.
Yes.
Like, they don't know. They don't just inherently know how to regulate their emotions and how to act and how to behave. You have to model these things and show them these things. So they don't just pop out knowing how they're supposed to react to certain situations. And it just... I don't know. I always say that Gabe he always gets one. If I ask him to do something, I will explain it to him. I'm not just going to be, because I said so.
Right.
Like, the because I said so. Ooh.
Yes. No, we don't do that one either.
I don't like that as an adult.
Right.
If somebody tells me to do something or asks me to do something as an adult, I don't like to do it with no explanation, like, unless it's something that I want to do. If it's something that I want to do, you don't have to explain it to me. But like, if it's something that I'm reluctant to do, it's like, okay, well, why do I have to do that? Or does it have to be right this second? If Gabe's in the middle of a video game and I say, hey buddy, it's time for dinner. Hey mom, can I please finish this one match that I'm on? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course you can. Finish your match, then come downstairs. You know, it's not like the house is on fire.
Right. And like putting ourselves in our child's place and to think about what they're thinking about and like how I would react if someone come and told me, Brittany, you have to turn off Friends right now. Right now. You have to turn off your Friends episode and you have to go do this. Man, I would be devastated. Like,
What's the matter? You okay?
Yeah, it's just I need to see Joey tell his joke. I'd be so sad. I'd be so sad. And so I just put myself in my child's shoes and think about that. And listen, ain't neither one of us sitting here telling you that we are perfect with
Oh
this.
my God, no.
Brittany says she's not a yeller. I naturally am a yeller because I was raised with screaming and yelling, and it was just I was raised with reactive parenting, and I think you touched on this just a little bit, that gentle parenting is also responsive rather than reactive.
Yes.
And so immediately when your child does something that angers you, that anger starts to rise and you can feel it. It's just word vomit just comes out. And I have had to battle with that a lot and take the moment to realize, let me respond to my child and not react to my child. I'm not perfect with gentle parenting, but there are some lines I won't cross anymore. I don't spank, and I want to say that I don't yell. I will have to say I am a 98% not yeller. When I'm sick and I'm grieving and I'm tired and I'm exhausted and my feelings are and anxieties through the roof, that's when I'm more likely to not follow through on gentle parenting. And so that's another part with gentle parenting. You kind of have to take care of yourself.
I think it helps too, at least with me, if I'm having one of those days where like I have anxiety and I've dealt with depression, and so some days I've just had a lot and my emotions are already through the roof, and I just have to be honest with my son from the get-go. It's like, okay, listen, I come home from work, I've had a terrible day, not necessarily because of just work, but other things are going on. Yeah. I pick him up and he talks a lot. So do I. He gets it honestly, but he's like going in and telling me all about his day, and he talks very loudly because he's excited. Yeah. And I don't want to dull his excitement, but I have to be like, okay, buddy, mom's had a really rough day. I need you to tone it down just a little. You could tell me about your day. I want to hear about your day, but I need you to do it in a lower tone. Or, hey, do you mind if we talk about this a little while later? Well, after I've had some time to decompress from the day, or if he wants to talk to me before bedtime about some heavy stuff, it's okay. We've talked about these things every single night, and I want to make myself available to you, but I need to set a boundary, and we need to talk about it tomorrow. Like, yes. So
I love that, because that goes back to modeling. You're modeling to him. You have your enough, and you want to be there for him. You articulate that in so many words. I want to be here for you. I want to show up for you. But like right now, in this very moment, mom can't. Yeah. And that shows your human side. That validates him. That tells him, I want to be here for you. Let me be here for you wholly, not partially.
That's right.
And I've had to do that with Cammie and say, baby, you're very excited right now. I want to be just as excited as you are, but I'm not really feeling good right now. I'm not feeling in my best. You know, how can we reschedule? Yes. And I am all about, if I put it on the calendar and I write it down, we follow through. When my kids, also, like, I don't know, maybe Gabe does this. I have 3 kids. I have to dividend individual time with them. They want that individual attention. When my kids start to act up a lot and that behavior starts getting erratic, I don't go, what the hell is wrong with you? I go, oh, what is wrong with this situation? Yeah. What am I missing? Am I missing something as a parent? And so I'll go to them and say, hey girl, what's going on? What you got? I have 3 daughters. Yeah, like, what's going on? You need to talk to mama about something. And most times they will always reply the same thing. Mom, I really need some alone time with you. And I think that's so precious that they feel like they can tell me that. And I'm like, cool, I can't stop what I'm doing right now. Mom has this thing to do at this very moment. I cannot stop. But maybe we can watch a movie together later. Or maybe we can plan something with all of us. Or maybe we can go to the zoo. You know, like, let's plan something and be collective together.
That's
and so
right.
gentle parenting is about, like, just summing all of that up. It's literally about being cohesive together with your child and not parenting at them, but parenting with them. Yes. So do you have any final thoughts on what you feel?
Man,
we
I
missed?
think we touched on pretty much everything. I mean, if there's one final message that I could say, is just like, don't just discount gentle parenting as just the easy way out. And if you do decide to start the journey of gentle parenting, like, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but if you stick it out, man, is it worth it?
Yes,
Is it worth it?
It is so worth it to have that relationship. And yes, it is very difficult. And in those difficulties, I'm all about community. You can reach out to me. I'm sure you can reach out to Brittany as
absolutely.
well. And there are so many communities on Facebook. I like hashtag search on Instagram and like hashtag gentle parenting, and I will look through all the people who have used those tags, and if I like their page, their stuff starts to come up, and so I'm getting more information, and now my feed on Instagram is all about that. And Facebook does this too, kind of. You can definitely search hashtags, but like Facebook, they start to realize what you like, and what you like to love, and they'll start feeding more of that stuff. And so my entire Facebook is like a couple posts from you, a couple posts from another mutual friend that we have, and then it's like gentle parenting, emotional healthiness, and mental health, and like it's just my whole feed is nothing but gentle parenting and other resources like that.
And TikTok's the same way. That algorithm is on. Sometimes the For You page really says for you.
Oh yes, TikTok is on it. My husband likes to sit and watch TikTok. Like, that's our thing to do together in the evening. We'll just kind of get caught up on TikTok. And typically we're on his phone because he has all the funny ones.
Okay.
And we were on my phone the other night. He's like, you got anything not so heavy?
Like, these are really heavy TikTok.
He's like, where's them dancing ones? Like, just, I don't know.
Where's the cute puppies?
Like, it's like, honey, Brittanys is all about gentle parenting or deconstruction or, you know, that kind of stuff. I got heavy stuff.
Self-help and personal development, mental health.
He's like, can I get something a little lighter, please? This is a little heavy. As far as resources go, me, Brittany, we're a resource. You can reach out to us. Find a community. You can type in all of the communities on Facebook and find a gentle parenting place to attach yourself to. And speaking of gentle parenting, I hear one of my kids crying, so we're going to wrap this up real quick. Remember, you can find all the episodes on onestepdeeperpodcast.com. Leave us a review there. We love to hear from you guys and any other topic that you want to hear. Jimmy will be back in 2 weeks, and we'll love to hear from you on all the things you want Jimmy and I to talk about, or maybe you really like the gentle parenting one, and I can bring Brittany back again as a guest star later. One Step Deeper Podcast over on Instagram, One Step Deeper Podcast community over on Facebook. You can listen to all the episodes again on all those places where you can find podcasts like Apple and Stitcher and Spotify and ALEXA. If you have an Alexa, you can listen to them there as well. We love you guys so much. That was episode 28. Thank you.
OneStepDeeperPodcast.com.